How's it going, everybody? Matt, the Helpful Home Inspector, here with another episode of the live show. Now, the live show today, we've got the Smith team from Keller Williams here, and today we're going to be talking about pre-listing inspections. We're going to be talking a bunch of other fun stuff to help you better maintain and take care of your home. Now, on the show today, we're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff, but I want your questions. If you guys have questions about how to better maintain and take care of your home, questions about anything that's going on at your home, questions about home inspection, questions about real estate, drop it in the comments. Let us know you got a question, concern, something going on. We were here to help you. As always, the live show is going to be recorded. You'll be able to view it on YouTube as well as Facebook. And I would like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't mind. Hit the bell notification. You'll be made aware of when we have new videos coming out. We do try to drop 2 new content videos a week so that you can get that and keep up on better maintaining and taking care of your home. And then always, if you like a video, give us a thumbs up. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and making us pop up on the top of people's feeds and stuff like that. All right. Now, as far as the show here today goes, we are going to go through all the different segments and stuff. We are also going to be recording these different segments onto a podcast. So if you go to your Alexa device or wherever you get your podcast from, you're going to look up the Helpful Home Inspector podcast, and you can get that on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. Go on there, look up the Helpful Home Inspector. There'll be lots of good information out there that you can listen to us on your way to work, on your way home from work, wherever you may be traveling to in the world, or just to learn and relax a little bit, or maybe if you find me boring, you can put you to sleep. All right, but we're happy to be here for you guys, and let's get this show rocking and rolling. So a little bit of housekeeping from last week. We did have a sound issue, and I apologize for that. We actually had a secondary sound source coming in, and we couldn't hear it. We couldn't see it because we weren't watching the show live on the internet with you guys. We were listening to our headphones, and in our headphones, it all sounded great. But in the reality of things, it was a secondary sound source, so it sounded like there was this echo constantly going on. If anybody's out there, let me know. Does it sound better today? We'll see. Now, as far as housekeeping goes, Bob did win the tool battle, and with his chosen housewife tools. So Bob did win that. Bob also won the jokes last week, so I do owe Bob a 20-second dance session. I'm gonna save that for next time when Bob comes in here. Just break out my hot dance moves. I got to do a little practicing with that. We also didn't announce the winner last week, but we did kind of put it in the description of the video. But Peggy G from Florida got the answer correct as far as how far above the roof line the chimney does need to be, and that's 3 feet. But Peggy did get that, and we did ship her the $50 gift card. So glad she was participating. Glad to have her on the show with us. We do have another giveaway this week, so make sure you hang out. We have a $20 Menards gift card we're going to be giving away this week, so hopefully everybody will hang out for that. Now, the guests that we have here today, or co-hosts, I guess I would say, we have Mark and Sheila Smith from Keller Williams. Mark was a Tulsa East grad. He got his bachelor's degree from UW-Madison, and has had a long history in medical sales, yep, right, before he went into real estate. Yep. And then real estate happened, and he's been knocking it out of the park ever since, getting all kinds of awards and recognition through Keller Williams and other types of mediums, so that's awesome. And then as far as Sheila goes, Sheila's part of their Smith team as well, co-owners of the Smith group, I guess.
Yeah, Team Smith.
Team Smith, yeah.
Team Smith, Wisconsin.
There you go, and that's the website as well, too, right?
Yes.
TeamSmithWisconsin.com. Yeah, so you can reach out to them there. We'll also have their phone number and contact information later on in the video, but it'll also be on our website as well that you can locate them there if you do want to get a hold of them. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest, buy land, whatever you're looking to do, get a hold of them. They're great people to talk to. Even if you just want to ask some questions, they'd be happy to talk to you and help you out any way they can. All right. Now, as far as the show today goes, our first order of business is going to be the defect of the week. So I did have a short video about this, as I usually do. If I come across something goofy, I like to put a short out there for you guys to kind of participate in my pain. But as far as the defect of the week goes, we're looking at a TJI joist system, TJI Trust Joist I-joist system, which is a flooring system that supports your house, and it's a newer type of flooring system. Okay, so in a 1900s house that I go into, that one that we saw last week, they actually have like barn beams in there and stuff like that, and that is common. But then other times in a home that was built in, say, the 40s or 50s, you're going to have 2x10 joists, okay, which are basically a solid piece of wood. And then today we have the two most common type that we're going to see is still going to be your traditional joist, okay, but we're also going to have TJIs. Now, you also occasionally will see truss joist, which is like a 2x4 truss system in the floor. That's what we have in our house, and I love it. But TJIs, they can span a good long distance, and they're cheaper to buy, and they have held up really well so far. Hasn't reached the 50-year test mark yet, but eventually it will. But the problem that we had was when it comes to a TJI joist. So we got a section here. I went over to East Side Lumber here in Wisconsin. Shout out to you guys. I went over there and I'm like, hey, you guys got a hunk of a TJI just laying around? The guy's like, yeah, I swear we do. And we went around looking, and there was a whole pile of them. So they just let me grab one. And so with a truss joist, I-joist system, you have your top band, you have your bottom band, and you have this web that's in the middle, okay? Now the web that's in the middle, you can drill holes through for putting wires and things like that. You can box things out to put elements through and stuff. But there's kind of specifications about how much of this web can be removed before it causes a problem, okay? Now, the difference between the web and these top and bottom bands is that the top and bottom bands you can't drill holes in, you can't cut through, you can't even make a little slit, or else you're taking away the engineered structural support of this joist, all right? Now, in the house that we had this week, they cut through a part of it because the plumber was trying to put some pipes through for a bathtub, all right, and we'll play that video here for you real quick. Tammy, you want to switch over to the computer? Hey gang, Matt the Helpful Home Inspector coming at you from a house down here in Delafield, Wisconsin, and today we have a joist problem. In this case, we have TJI joist at this home, which is a newer modern joist that a lot of homes use these days. But with a TJI joist or a truss joist I-joist system, we have a top band, a bottom band, and we have a web in the middle. Now, as far as the web in the middle, you can drill holes through it to put pipes through and wires through and things like that. However, you cannot cut through the top or bottom band. If you do so, you're stealing the strength from this joist, and it's not going to properly support the structure in this area. This plumber should have boxed that area around if he needed to put his pipes in there and transfer those loads around that area properly following the manufacturer's instructions, which was not done. Ultimately, this is repairable, but it's going to take a little bit of work. Now, thanks again for tuning in, you guys. Remember, we do... All right, so as far as that joist goes, you guys, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to basically box that out. So they're going to have to put a 2x6 in here, secure it on both sides, and they're going to put a joist hanger on. They're going to put it across. It's going to be a matter of some extra wood and some hangers that they're going to have to use in order to get that kind of load transferred around that area. I don't think they have to replace the whole joist or anything like that, but it is going to be kind of a costly repair. You got to have a professional that knows what they're doing, and you got to follow the manufacturer's instructions as far as the repairs or corrections to that joist. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about something that we can do to help you guys save $1 on your home today. Save $1 today. All right. And that is going to be checking your toilet for a leak. Now, checking the toilet for a leak is important. You should do it occasionally. It doesn't take a lot of time, okay? But a leaking toilet, even if you just have a slow leak, can cost you hundreds to thousands of dollars a year in water and sewer bill, okay? Your water and sewer bill is generated by how much water comes into the house. They assume the water is then going out of the house, so that's why water and sewer are charged at the same time. But when we have a slow leak, you could talk in hundreds to thousands of dollars, and it's definitely something that you don't want to let slip down the drain. Okay, but ultimately, all you got to do is go to the cupboard in the kitchen, get some food coloring. Okay, I would usually suggest like a red or a blue or a green, something dark. You don't want the yellow one or the orange one. And you put a couple of drips in the back of your toilet tank. All right, it's going to turn all that toilet tank water red or blue, which is fine. It's not going to hurt your toilet at all. Okay. But just let the toilet sit there. Don't flush it. Don't do anything. Just let it sit there for a good hour or so, and then go back and look. And if you look in the bowl of that tank and you see red food coloring or blue food coloring, your toilet is leaking in the toilet. So it's not like it's leaking and making water damage, okay? But it's leaking in your toilet and you're losing water. Now, as you lose that water, they also are assuming that you're putting that water into the sewage, which you are, and then it needs to be treated and stuff before it can go back out into the earth and get cleaned again, all right? So check that toilet for any types of leaks just by putting a little bit of food coloring in that tank and then letting it sit for an hour, all right? That's your save $1, all right? Now, the next thing we're going to get into is the housing market update. Now, this is everybody everybody talks about it. Okay, not just real estate agents. Okay, but you guys are in the middle of it. You're working with it every day,
Right.
and you're talking to people. You're in the industry. You had a seminar from the Madison.
Yeah, we actually, as part of the ALC, part of the leadership committee for our brokerage, we had a professor that came in, Mark Epley from UW-Madison, came in and gave an hour-long talk about kind of like the 30,000-foot view of real estate from nationally, and then all the different factors there, and then going down to the individual Wisconsin real estate market. It was really nice.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And you need that kind of stuff. I mean, stuff changes constantly in this stuff, and whether it's talking about interest rates or talking about homes on the market, how days on the market, all this kinds of stuff is where a lot of the real estate market comes down to how it evaluates itself. But it is something that the average person looks at too, and they're like, oh, I'm not seeing as many signs out on the yard or whatever, or my neighbor sold his house in 2 days and got $75,000 over asking, and they hear and see these things, but they aren't gauging it on a whole bunch of stuff. They're gauging it on a couple of little pieces of it that they see, where you guys see the whole big picture of what's going on. So Mark and Sheila put together a couple of slides here for us. There we go.
Perfect. Yeah, it's Mark and Sheila Smith with Team Smith, Wisconsin. We work in the southeast Wisconsin area, Milwaukee metro area, a lot in Waukesha County, Milwaukee County, Washington County, and we work with first-time home buyers. We work with people who are transitioning from a larger home down to a smaller home or a condo, empty nesters, people moving into residential or older care, extended care, things like that. So,
do you guys do commercial stuff at all?
We haven't done commercial. What we have done, so the best thing that we can do is actually refer them to somebody from our commercial division, because I'd rather have somebody being taken care of by someone who does commercial all the time.
Yeah, commercial is kind of a different beast.
It's a different deal, and I'd rather just put them in those good hands. And I think that's the best thing that we can do is bring those people to the professionals in the commercial side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been working with, ever since we started in business, we've been working with HSH Property Inspection. We've been working together as a team, pretty much on every listing that we have. We always offer our sellers the opportunity to do a pre-listing inspection. We actually pay for it because we believe that strongly in the fact that if we get an inspection on the home, and we get the report, and it's a beautiful report, you guys, it's usually 60, 70, 80 pages long, full color photos, every single mechanical, every single item that's in the house that can be inspected is inspected. Yeah. And it just gives the sellers like a little bit of confidence, and the buyers know what they're buying, the sellers know what they're selling, and I think it's a really good opportunity to get everything out front and have a really nice, open, honest situation when it comes to a contract.
Yeah, and in this market too, sometimes people waive their home inspection, so they want to have that quality inspection so that they know what they're buying.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to provide that so that no one is in the dark. And
right.
Yeah.
So as far as the real estate market, we talk about where Wisconsin stands with the United States, but in Wisconsin right now, 63% of the homes that are in Wisconsin have a mortgage, which I thought was kind of surprising. I didn't realize. I thought it would be more than that. The good news is in Wisconsin also we have really good credit. Our FICO score is higher than the national average, and then our mortgage payment is a little bit less at $1,058 as an average. So everybody's been talking about interest rates because those have been going up and down and up and down and up quite a bit, kind of volatile the last 6 to 8 months. But to be honest, the entire country's been enjoying lower than 4%. So if we look at less than 3% in Wisconsin, 28% of people have an interest rate right now, a mortgage rate of 20% is 3% or less.
That's us.
And then
we cashed in on that. Yeah. When it got down to 2.38, I think we got in on it. And I'm like, babe, okay, I know we're only at 4, but 2.38 sounds really good. Yeah. And then we took some money out to do some remodeling and start a YouTube channel and stuff.
Well, yeah. It's like free money, right? It's like at 2.75. Think about this. I always try to explain this to my buyers when we talk about interest rates. It's like, well, you're paying 5.5% just for sales tax when you buy anything, right? Yeah. And you get something lower than that, you're gonna be in great shape.
Yeah. Well, my parents, they're like, well, when I bought my house, right, it was 18% interest, and you had to have 20% down, and it was just a different world. But I'm like, okay, but you also paid $63,000 for your house back in 1985.
Right.
It was just a different. It's not. You can't compare the two anymore. It's just different.
Yeah. So if we think about it now, so in Wisconsin, 71% of mortgage holders have less than either 4 or less as far as their mortgage rate. Yeah.
Well, and if you're interested in mortgage rates and stuff, the next time Mark and Sheila are coming on, we're going to have, is that one Bill? No. That's in 2 months.
2 months.
2 months, we're going to have Bill Moeller from 5'9" coming in here. I always call it high five, but it's 5'9" bank. And Bill, shout out, man. If you're looking for somebody to talk to about mortgage rates and mortgages and that kind of stuff, Bill Moeller, 5'9", look him up. He'd be happy to talk to you and give you all the information he possibly can. So next one.
Yep. So just to give you an idea of what the demographics are for the real estate market in Wisconsin and the U.S., believe it or not, the first-time home buyers averaging 33 years old, which back in the day before that, right? Everybody was in their 20s, mid-20s.
Yeah.
Things are going a little longer. People are waiting a little longer to get married or get partnered up or whatever they're doing, and then moving into a house. So at 33 years old, millennials are making up the largest portion of it. Baby boomers are slowly working their way out of being the largest. They used to be the largest segment for a long time.
Yeah.
And so now it's millennials that are doing that. The amazing thing that we're looking at right now is that we see some homes that have 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, and right now a lot of the things that are being asked to be built right now are smaller homes, 2 and 3 bedroom, because of the fact that 84% of the households right now are 2 persons or less.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, single women are actually buying at twice the rate that single men are in the market right now. So,
well, Hartford, they just put together this whole thing with Carrick Homes that they're going to be building a whole subdivision of smaller 2-bedroom homes and more affordable homes, because most of the homes that you see out there that are getting built are just massive. Yeah, $500,000 homes, and that makes it so hard for those first-time buyers to get into the housing market. It's just a barrier that's hard to overcome.
Yeah, it's really good to see that kind of thing. Just because there are so many huge houses out there, it's like people aren't having as many kids as they used to. Like, what do you need 5 bedrooms for, or 5,000 square feet, or whatever? Absolutely,
yeah. And this whole thing in Hartford is going to be. Are there assumable mortgages? What does that mean?
So a seller is going to sell a house and they've got a mortgage that's already set up. Can you work in with them and assume their mortgage versus that? We haven't run into that before. I know that there's times that can happen.
Kenny, was that what you guys did up in Appleton?
Did you do that?
Yeah. So they had bought the house in Appleton or whatever, and my dad was a teacher and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she drove at some point or another drove the school bus, and she worked at Hell's Meat Market and did like 3 or 4 jobs all at the same time just to make ends meet in the mid '80s. And then my dad got laid off because of the teaching thing. Sure. But and they were forced to sell the house, and that's when we moved down here and stuff. But I think they had to do something goofy with the house, because we were only in that house for a year or so, and then that happened, and so then I think somebody actually bought out their mortgage. Yeah, that's how they sold their house in Appleton. Somebody bought out or took over their mortgage or something like that. Yeah,
land contract. Yeah. It's not common that happens, and usually it's someone that's familial, right? So it's a family transaction because they know each other. That's normally where that might happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So also right now, the thing that's happening right now too is that a lot of the first-time homebuyers that are out there, from 25 to 44, they're actually their income that they have, they've got a high income level. They're averaging, I think it's $75,000 or more. So these are people who have either gotten to the trades or they've gotten a 4-year education or whatever it is that they're doing, but they've got high income, so they're able to afford expensive homes. And actually, the median price right now for Waukesha County is like $356,000 for a home.
Isn't that crazy?
That's not exactly a first-time home buyer market, right? So
not at all.
You have to think about that. Yeah, and everything keeps appreciating, and we always talk about equity and the fact that the normal amount is usually 4 to 5% a year.
Yeah.
The last 2 years has been between 12, maybe 10, 12, 15% for the last couple of years.
And like Waukesha and Hartford, blue collar communities. You're not generally, you don't have like the Fox Points of the world where everybody makes $200,000 a year. The average person in Waukesha and Hartford are probably going to make in that $40,000 to $60,000 range. Thankfully, if they were in the housing market and they had a house, they probably profited from the last few years where house prices just went bonkers.
Right.
But it's something that those people that are still in that $40,000 to $60,000 that didn't have a house, that were renting or whatever, man, that's a hard jump to make.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Well, and that's something that's changed a little bit here too, is that rents are really going up. So a lot of people have been talking to first-time home buyers going, I don't want to pay rent because I'm paying a lot. Like I could buy a house for this.
You're paying
payment.
somebody else's mortgage.
And I don't want to pay
exactly
someone
right.
else's mortgage. So.
Yeah, when we talk about interest rates, when you're renting, you're paying 100% interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that money's all going away. That's not coming back. It's going in somebody else's pocket.
If you can afford $1,500 a month in rent, you can afford to buy a house as long as your interest is good and you have had a job for more than a year or two.
Yeah.
So
Right.
give the Smith team a call. Get it done. You know.
So one thing that I was going to get back to on the graph was there's a graph at the bottom here that kind of shows building starts and units that are being built. If you notice right toward the end there in the 2008 2009, there's a little downturn and there wasn't many housing starts. If you notice, we're still pretty far behind because that trend that's behind that line before the blue that's in the yellow. That's the demand and need for it. So there's actually a big deficit right now in housing as far as new homes being built.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to the construction industry. They got decimated in the 2008 to 2010. I mean, so many of the construction companies out there went under, and now they're trying to get back into it. But such a employment shortage, of people that are not only willing to work but have some sort of skills and are capable of working, and want to show up. There's just such a shortage of good employees right now that they can't hire enough people. So when you talk to people about going into the trades and things like that, for a long time everybody was like, "Oh, college, everybody's got to go to college." And like when I used to teach in Mountain Falls, there's like 2 tech ed teachers now. Where there used to be 13 teaching all the different trades and all that kind of stuff. So we need to kind of not only get those workers out there working, but we need to change our ideas about education and what is a good job. I mean, you can go out and be a carpenter, and you can make 80, 90 grand a year, and you don't have to have $80,000 of student loan debt.
Right.
Well, there's a good example of that at Kettle Moraine High School. I know that they've opened up their entire tech department. Everything from metal work to woodwork to printing to you name it. They've got things going on. But there's so many more kids that are getting involved in those trades. And I know that we're supporting that with the Delsman Chamber right now. We're actually going to give scholarships out to kids that are not going to 4-year schools, that are going to 2-year schools. Yeah. So that's kind of a good thing that we're actually seeing the high schools kind of reflect that as well.
Yeah.
Locally.
I mean, a good welder can make 6 figures a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Like after just a couple of years of education,
right.
and just yeah. But let's get back to real estate. So
yeah, so this is the interest rates over the years, and you can see when you were talking about your parents at 18%, that's exactly right. The highest rate was 18.63 as an average, and then the lowest rate was 2.65, which we talked about. I think like most people think it's almost like giving money away, right? Like that's it's not a free mortgage, but it's pretty darn close.
Yep. Yeah, I think we got 2.3 because we went from a 30-year mortgage down to a 15-year mortgage, so that got us a little bit lower as well. And I think we paid up for some points.
Yep.
I don't remember correctly.
So the average rate over the last since 1971 has been 7.75%, and we're below that right now by a considerable amount. Next page here. So today's rate, so I took these as of yesterday. So a 30-year fix is around 6%. 15-year fix is at 5.2, 5.3. 3-year ARM is at 5.25, and a 5-year ARM is at 5.5. So with interest rates going up, when they started ticking up at 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, when they were in that range, the adjustable rate mortgages became a little bit more attractive. Because the fact that you can get in at that rate at a little bit lower portion and then wait that 3 years and see what happens, and you could refinance. The good news is that a lot of these finance companies are willing to do a refi or do a no cash refi.
When the mortgage rates were going up last year at the home show, when we were sitting there and we had Bill Mueller in the show booth with us.
Right.
He was like, my 30-year fixed mortgage is at 7%, but I can get you into a 4% ARM for in the next couple of weeks or whatever, And so that was a 3% swing. And odds are in 7 years, you're probably going to end up refinancing or something like that anyways if you need to. So it really wasn't that big of a thing, But back when we first got our house in 2010, an ARM was like, it wasn't that much better than a 30-year mortgage,
right?
So it really didn't make sense for us to take that risk that it's going to fluctuate,
So we're telling all of our buyers right now, it's like you want to marry the house, but you only want to date the rate, right? Exactly. So marry that house, but date the rate, because eventually the rates are going to come back down. Because if you just look at the history of mortgage rates, they're going to be in that 5 4, 6 category, somewhere in that, somewhere in there.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the companies that now you're hearing that they're doing a no fee refi when you're ready to, or even if you had to pay for the refi, it's $1,500, $2,000, but you're going to save that by even if you just have 1% of interest change, So, and realistically, 5% is not. That I guess would be what I would expect to be norm.
Right.
The days of 2 and 3%, or 2.5% and 3% interest rates. That's crazy and kind of, I got to think that's unsustainable,
Right.
So it's not something that you would expect to come back down to in the near future. So anybody that's sitting out there waiting for 3% interest rates,
right,
don't count on it.
But here's the thing, even at that 4 or 5, like I said, it's like sales tax, right? 5.5% for anything you buy or sell.
Yeah.
I think the great point that Mark Epley made was they're doing a forecast for the next year or two to find out what interest rates are going to be. And basically what he's saying is it's in the 6% range right now. By the end of the year, probably about 5%, somewhere in that. We'll probably be getting into the 4s, the high 4s in 2024. So as things go, that's what the forecast is right now.
Yeah.
Don't have a crystal ball, but a lot of things can happen. But
I think generally when the economy is really good and inflation is low, the interest rates are low. When inflation is high and the economy is sluggish, I guess you would call it right now, then you're going to have higher interest rates. And it's basically just the Fed trying to manage, inflation and all that other kinds of stuff that comes in. There's a lot of things that work into it, but mortgage rates and lending rates basically is what it comes down to, and that's one thing that they can manipulate to try to control things and not let things get out of hand. So I mean they're all trying to prevent this 2008 thing from happening again, and it's that this is completely different time. It's not even the same thing.
That's not going to happen again. They say,
especially with like we were talking about the housing shortage, the fact that there's a deficit there. Yeah. Also, we're not talking about subprime rates, because the thing is that all those mortgages are sold, and when they bundle them in 100 and 200 and 1,000 at a time, if one goes bad, that's not a huge deal. But when 50 out of the 100 go bad, then that's when you run into a problem. So I don't know that that's going to happen again.
For sure.
So locally, so here's our local MLS update. So when we talk about the MLS, we're talking about the metro area, so Milwaukee, Waukesha, Washington, and Ozaukee counties. The Friday hot sheet, we had 55 new listings, 17 with an offer. 21 were sold, 15 pending, price changes 22. That's something that we haven't seen in a while, just because prices were high and there was a lot of bidders on every single property, that the prices seem to be going a little bit higher, over asking.
Sure.
Well, when that doesn't happen, the only data that we have to pull from when we're trying to price a house is some of that higher activity. So now that when you see some homes that are being priced, it's not an easy thing to do as an agent.
Yeah.
You're looking at all the comps that you have, but if all the comps are accelerated and increased, it's hard to put a correct price on. So now you're seeing price changes where a house goes on the market and it seems to sit a little bit longer. We have to talk about price and condition, and whether you're willing to fix something or do something different to the house. Sometimes it's a matter of bringing that price down. So you're seeing price changes being a little bit more.
For sure. Yeah, one of the things that you guys do is market analyses. And I believe you do that for free for people.
Absolutely,
so
100%.
If you're curious about what your house is worth and what you might be able to sell it for, give them a call. They'll come in, they'll do that market analysis for you for free, and they'll do it right in your home, I believe, usually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably one of the best things that we do. When I meet people, if I'm out door knocking and talking to them about their house, we offer that immediately. Like, hey, if there's something you want to learn about your house, the best thing about it, even if you're not going to buy or sell, you can use that to realize. Like, let's say somebody just moved into their house and they're paying PMI. If their house is moved up in equity and they've got so much in there over that 20%, they can actually go back to the lender and say, hey, we're over 20% with our valuation, and get rid of that PMI charge. Or they can pull money out for like a
remodeling,
HELOC. HELOC, right?
Yeah.
So
and the market analysis, you guys, is kind of like a appraisal. Okay, in my opinion, better than an appraisal, because you guys are usually more realistic than the appraisers. But it doesn't qualify as an appraisal for the bank or anything like that. But it does give you a good range of what your house could be worth. And they could also even make some suggestions for you of ways you can make your house more valuable and that kind of stuff. So give them a call, free market analysis. They'd be happy to do it for you.
Okay, so actually right now in this metro area, there's single-family homes. So we break it down into 3 categories: single-family homes, condos, and 2 families. Basically, there is seasonality in Wisconsin, and just like anywhere else, but it's a little bit more when we have cold weather and snow on the ground. So the amount of homes that are on the market right now is a little bit less, but nothing different than normal. They're expecting that this year versus last year, there's probably be 10 or 15% less listings, and this is kind of representative of that right now. For average days on market, 42 days.
Sure.
Units sold 1,021. The average list price in the metro area is $334. The the sold price, actually, that's supposed to be sold price on the bottom is $327, so a little less than list price. So that's where you're seeing that price change there
compared to what it was last year.
Yeah.
And days on market too. I mean, days on market was what, 2?
Yeah. Right.
It was pretty crazy, and unrealistic and unsustainable, I think. But there was a lot of FOMO going on, a lot of fear of missing out, and these younger millennials that do have good jobs. They're like, if I don't get in now, I'm never going to be able to get into the housing market. I'm never going to be able to own a home, if I don't get in now, because things are just going up. Like, what was the price increase? Probably 10%. Over the last 2 years.
Yeah, probably or more, to 10 to 15%, depending. The term that we've been using a lot is hyper local. Like we realize that there's some homes that, like you said, they go on the market and they're gone in a day or two, and that just happens that way. In some areas, sometimes it doesn't go that long, or maybe there's a difference between what the home is like in condition versus what the price is at.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is sometimes right now we have a lot of sellers out there that want to sell their house for as much as they can, but they haven't done a lot of the updating that you need to do.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like making everything brand new, but you want to update it to somewhat near what's out there right now.
They heard what was going on last year, and they want that this year. Right. And it's like things change. You kind of you miss the yacht. Now you got a little bit of a powerboat here still, but it is not, the market's not as fast, and it's something that you need to be understanding of, that your house is going to sit a little bit right now, but you're still going to get a good price, and you're always going to get a better price when you have a real estate agent. What is the average increase? Is 6 to 7%?
Yeah, I think it's probably more than that. I think depending on the agent, depending what the work they're doing behind that listing, I think if you're properly marketing that, you're going to get probably a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, and you got the expertise as far as negotiating and all that kind of stuff that comes into this whole thing too.
Sure.
Yeah, and it also is listening to your agent too and coming up with a good starting price. Mm-hmm. You don't want to price it out of the market, and then buyers know they're going to. Like, no, that house isn't worth that. And then it will sit, and then people will think something's wrong with it. So the longer it sits, the actually lower price you're going to get for the house.
Yeah, because if you overprice it, then the people that were potentially going to offer on your home at a correct price already bought another house, and they're not attainable. You can't get them.
Yeah, and the whole goal, the whole strategy is to get multiple offers so that that price increases. So if you start at the correct price, you should get multiple offers, and when you get multiple offers, the price will go up.
Sure.
The one thing we are noticing though too is that when we talk about the market softening a little bit, right now we're actually seeing that the buyers are still out there. Like when we're talking to agents that are doing open houses right now, they're seeing 10, 20, 30 couples coming through on an open house, which we haven't seen that for a little while. We've seen more people coming back into the market. So even though it is seasonal, I still think there's plenty of buyers out there right now.
There's a lot of buyers right now. Yeah.
And I think they might be being a little bit pickier too, because there's more houses on the market than there were. They have more options available to them, but still not what it normally would be as far as your number of homes on market. And
this time of year kind of slows. Definitely slows down. Mid-February, maybe March. I mean, they always say spring starts when the Packers lose, so Packers are now out of it. So
if we go back 5 years, what are we looking for days on market?
Oh my goodness,
90?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably between probably 10 to 20 days longer than it is right now.
Yeah, and just to give you a little perspective on what we're looking at here, today it's 42 days on market. Last year, when things were like crazy hot, you're looking at 2 days on market. Okay, and you go back 5 years, you're looking at that 70 to 80 days on market. So that whole thing fluctuates and changes, and it's something that will go up and will go down, and it's not something that anybody can absolutely predict with absolute certainty. Okay, but there are trends, and that's where when we talk to real estate agents and you talk to people that are in the industry, those trends are what you're watching. Which way is the tide flowing? You know what I mean? And the tide usually doesn't shift very quickly like it did in 2008. Usually there's this ebb and flow to it all.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And usually you see the differences first, like in the higher priced homes, like they'll slow down first, or
right. But that 200 to 300 range.
That's always pretty hot right now.
That seems to be
that's
that way.
That's the butter zone.
Yeah.
Well, that's your $1,300 mortgage, right? Ish.
13 to 16, 18, depending on what their mortgage rate is.
More affordable mortgage. Yeah.
We always get asked, when's the best time to buy or sell? It's really tough to time the market, number one. But right now, when we talk to people, it's like, you know what, the best time to sell is probably now, because we know what the market is right now. We don't know what the market's going to be in 6 months or a year. As far as winter, like on my chart here, I have we talk about winter early in spring. Is that a good time to buy or sell? Well, selling during the colder weather, like January, February, March, there's less homes on the market, so you have less competition from other homes. Because believe it or not, when you have 2 or 3 homes that go up in the same subdivision, you're actually competing with one another as sellers.
Yeah.
And then less homes on the market also keeps those prices relatively constant because of the fact that if there's not as many homes, you have a lot more. There's more buyers on each home that's out there because there's less homes.
Sure.
As far as buying, theoretically, there's less buyers looking. Not always. Like right now, like Sheila and I have noticed that there's still a lot of buyers in the market.
Yeah.
And more buyers needing to move versus wanting to move. So during winter, what you see is people having to put their house up because they're having a career relocation. They're moving somewhere else, or they're moving closer to the family.
Yeah.
They might need to move versus want to move.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would say the only time that the market is dead is Christmas to New Year's. That's when nobody buys a house. You know, nobody wants to do anything in that time period. But outside of that, houses are still selling. I mean, we were still inspecting houses in December, January. I mean, we inspect houses 365 days a year. And during even that super dead time, we were still inspecting houses from people that did deals before Christmas and stuff. So there's never a bad time to list your house. You know, it's just that you don't want to wait around and miss a good time.
Right. Like I said, that's the recap for the local market as far as what's going on right now. And if anybody's interested and they want to get a valuation for their house, call Sheila and I, 262-271-6971, or visit our website, teamsmithwisconsin.com.
Wait, what was that number again, Mark? You said that really fast.
262-271-6971.
There's your announcer voice.
Make your dreams a reality.
I knew it was going to come out pretty soon.
There we go. All right. So next we're going to get into our main topic. And our main topic today is talking about pre-listing inspections. Now, pre-listing inspection, what is it? Okay. First of all, let me tell you the return on investment as far as a pre-listing inspection goes is super high. Okay. There's lots of good reasons to get a pre-listing inspection. There is little to no reason to not get it. Okay. As far as the pre-listing inspection goes, you guys, a couple of things. One of the things is that it allows you to be upfront about any needed repairs. It doesn't mean that when I come through and inspect your home as a seller that you have to fix everything. You can choose not to fix whatever you choose not to fix, and that's okay.
Right.
But you're not going to be surprised by somebody coming at you after a home inspection saying, oh, you have a foundation problem. And you're like, I already negotiated down to my bottom line as far as what I can do is lowest price. And because I got to buy my next house, how can I now make a $10,000 repair? If you knew that ahead of time, you could plan for it. And say, hey, I'm not fixing the foundation. There's a crack in it. It's something you can fix. This is an estimate that I got to repair it. And, you know, you can budget it and
and I was just going to say exactly like that. The real estate condition report that we have that the sellers have to fill out. That's the one thing that as agents we can't be involved with. They have to give their honest evaluation of what they've done with the home, any issues that they might have. But it's all a matter of disclosure, right? Yeah. We want to make sure that they're disclosing everything that they know. Yeah. And the best part about doing the pre-listing inspection, it gives those buyers like, hey, here's a third party that did an inspection. They did they inspected every part of the home. Here's what the seller knows about it. Maybe not have to fix everything that's on there only because they're disclosing it. Doesn't mean that they have to fix it like you said. Yeah. But at least the buyer knows what they're getting into.
Yeah. Well, and pre-listing inspection is the exact. We do a home inspection on it just like any other home inspection we do. We don't pull any punches. We don't emphasize things. We don't skew things in the seller's favor or the buyer's favor. We're fact finders. We come in and this is here or it's not here. It's that simple, you know. And as it comes to the pre-listing inspection, it's just a good way to be upfront about everything. You know, hey, this is the condition of my home. This is what I'm selling, and then you price it appropriately, and people are going to buy it, you know, and they're going to go into buying it knowing that there's these issues, and they're not going to come back at you after the fact.
Right. And the other thing, it doesn't preclude somebody from going out and getting their own inspection on the house. They can do that. The great news is that by having HSH come out and do their inspection, is that you've got a really good document that shows everything that's there. They went through all the mechanicals, and when we set the price with them, now that price is a little bit more firm, right? Because back in the day when nobody was doing an inspection, someone could set the price, and then someone comes in with their inspection. Yeah. Now they want $30,000 off or $50,000 off because X, Y, and Z needs to be fixed. Yeah. Well, now you can say, listen, we're offering it at this price because we already know what these issues are. Yeah. Here's where they're at.
They get a second kick at the can. You go through the whole negotiating process. You get an offer to purchase. So Mark and Sheila draft up an offer to purchase and send it into the seller's agent or whatever. And then if they have a home inspection contingency in there, you agree on a price and stuff. And then the home inspector comes through and they find some major issues. You need a new roof. You need need some repairs in the foundation or something. Now you have to negotiate again for these $10,000 to $15,000 worth of repairs that you weren't a part of the original negotiation. Where if you had a pre-leasing inspection, these things are already going to be brought up. And if they were already made aware that there was a foundation problem, they can't come back at you later on after they had their home inspector come through and say, hey, this foundation is damaged. Yeah, you knew about that when you wrote it on the offer in the first place. Right. So we're not negotiating that. You know?
We do that with our any of the times that we have a buyer that's going to come through and make an offer. Yeah. We give them the pre-listing inspection from the seller. They can go through it. That way they've looked at the document. They know what's going on. We've got proof that we've shown them the pre-listing inspection, so they know what they're doing. And so when they make their offer, we should be good to go, right? And I think that, like you're saying, it does save time too, because we're not finding out about those issues 10, 15 days after the offer has been accepted. You already know ahead of time. So it's saving. The other thing is that it might keep somebody from putting an inspection contingency on as a buyer and make that closing process go a little faster.
Yeah, we'll save that negotiation tool, and they already know what they know, so they don't have to add that contingency on there.
Yeah,
makes it go a little quicker.
Great marketing tool. You know, I mean, hey, I'm being upfront. I mean, if I'm buying a house from somebody, I would love that they're being honest and upfront with me about absolutely everything that's going on with that house. It's just like when you go to buy a car and somebody, patches it up, puts Bondo on it, and puts some spray paint on things to make it look good. I want to know if there's lipstick on the pig. I want to know what the pig looks like, because that's what I'm buying. Right. You know, and when it comes to this marketing tool, to be handed that with all the information about the mechanicals, all the estimated life expectancy of the roof, all that stuff. It all makes a huge difference when you're looking at purchasing a house and you're comparing one house to the other house. This house, I know everything that's going on. I know exactly what's happening here. And yes, there are some problems, but every house has problems. There's no such thing as a perfect house. And if you think that exists, you should go hunt for some Sasquatch, or I got a bridge to sell you. But as far as the pre-listing inspection goes, that is just a way of being upfront and kind of transparent as possible. That doesn't mean that I'm going to find absolutely everything, because I'm not. I'm going to find absolutely everything I possibly can, but I don't have X-ray vision. I can't tell the future. And a condition that may have existed when I inspected the house may be different in 30 days. Who knows? But you're going to know a lot about that place that you're looking at purchasing, and can make some good educated decisions. And when it comes to you choosing to have a home inspection contingency in your offer to purchase, it may be something that, hey, I saw that Matt from HSH Property Inspection, a reputable company that's been inspecting houses for 14 years and, has a certified master inspector, that he inspected it. I trust that, you know what I mean? And they can always call us up if we were the ones that did it. I would assume if anybody else did the pre-listing inspection, they could call them up and ask questions about that inspection, and get some of those questions answered.
Well, and for us, I know that we decided a long time ago when we first started out in real estate that inspections are so important that we decided to start doing pre-listing inspections for all of our listings. Yeah. So anybody that wants to list their home with us, we're going to be willing to actually pay for that pre-listing inspection for you as part of our listing agreement. And the other thing too is, like, a good story about this is that we actually had somebody who had an estate. We actually brought you guys in for a pre-listing inspection, and during the inspection we uncovered some problems in the electrical panel, and they were serious enough that I actually had to call the seller and say, hey, just so you know, there's an issue here. We called our local Myers Electric folks out of Wales. Sure. They came over and actually made the repair right away. It was great to know that we had taken care of something that estate person, or the person that's selling the property, didn't know anything about. We're actually in there to take care of a problem that could be a big issue, like immediately while nobody's in the house.
Could have burned down the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's that transparency is got value. It's a great marketing tool. There's lots of great reasons to do it. But the biggest one for me is that negotiation thing. To not having that second kick at the can, to come back and say, hey, I realize that we negotiated for a price of $320,000, but you know what? There's $15,000 worth of foundation repairs. I need a new roof. I'm gonna say I want $35,000 off of this price, or I'm walking away from your house.
Right.
And you've already got your other house ready to go. You've got 30 days to close. Right. So now after the home inspection, you got 2 weeks. How do you take care of
the timing of this is sometimes really sketchy when you have a lot of things that have to fall in place.
Yeah.
So having the pre-listing inspection is good just for that reason. Like, we had time to get that problem fixed. And sometimes if contractors don't have the time to come in right away, this solves that problem even before it really went on the market. Yeah. It was already fixed.
And I know for us, we have a list of preferred contractors that we have A to Z, everything to do with a home. In fact, you guys are on that list. But anytime that we have an issue, we've got plenty of people to refer. Like, if I meet people and they need a roof, I tell them, well, go see Resistance Exteriors. They see Tom Cutts. Yeah. Tommy Caitlin Cutts do a great job on roofing. And so, like, roofing, electrical, Myers Electric, heating, air conditioning, we do Kettle Moraine heating. Those guys do a great job. So we're always able to refer out and have really good relationships with those guys. So being with Team Smith, it is a team, right? So we've got everybody. We've got HSH. We've got all of our contractors, everybody that's involved. We can help you out and make that a successful sale.
Absolutely. And then as far as the pre-listing inspection, one of the nice things about getting a pre-listing inspection is that you know what's wrong with the home and you can plan and budget. So if you're in negotiations and you know that you have a $10,000 foundation repair that you're not going to fix, you're going to disclose it, but you're going to know that, hey, there may be $10,000 worth they may try to negotiate here because of this foundation, and I need to make sure I don't end up below what I need to get into my next house, and you can plan appropriately. Or if you don't have it done, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, you don't want to hear surprise.
Yeah, you might as well go to Ho Chunk and throw $100,000 down, But definitely want to prevent any of those surprises and stuff like that. Then now the pre-listing inspection. One of the things that people do a lot of times when we do that pre-listing inspection, it gives them an idea of what they have going on at their house. Most of the time, people are living in their house, and I come across it all the time. Oh, you come inspect my house, you're not going to find a darn thing. My house is perfect. And then the funny thing is that when he goes to sell his house, I actually came back and inspected it, and there's a whole laundry list. He's like, I was wrong. There was a lot going on. What can I do to fix this, that, and the other thing? And we're happy to help you understand what's going on with your home. But with the pre-listing inspection, it gives you an opportunity to fix some of these things and make your house look a little bit better.
I think it kind of helps the buyer, because when they see that laundry list, like you were just talking about, like it kind of scares them. Even though some of those are easy fixes, maybe they're not even, maybe they're $100 here, $200 there, that adds up, but it scares them a little bit, like, oh my gosh, there's 14 things on here. Like, so this way they can be fixed even before they see that. Absolutely. And it gives if they do have a home inspection, it gives them less to talk about because they fix the things, and it allows you to fix things on your own that you don't have. Like, if you have a sink drain that is leaking, you can go down and you can get the wrench and you can tighten that up and make sure that it's not leaking. And then when the home inspector comes through, it's one less thing that their home inspector is going to have to talk about.
Right.
And the less bad things the home inspector has to say about a home, the better it is. And it's not like the home inspector's making up stuff. These are things that are going on, So,
and these are maybe things that the homeowner could fix themselves, where when you get into that negotiation, the buyer's going to say, you need a reputable contractor to come in and fix this. And you need to show us that, that someone...
Yeah. Well, and I think it makes sense. I know a lot of times on these inspections, like we talk about smoke detectors and carbon monoxide. Everybody, like almost everybody's every house needs to have that done. Like, that's one thing. Like, here's a tip, everybody. So if you have a house and you're thinking about selling, go ahead and get yourself the detectors on each level. Right.
Yep.
You
minimum of one per floor.
Minimum one per floor. Get that done. That's one less thing that will be on that box. I can tell you that it happens in almost every.
So
every
what we just learned how to tell if it was getting a little older.
Yeah. What's the story about the coloring?
It's getting a little yellow. It gets a little yellow.
Discoloration. Yeah. So the manufacturers, they made the plastics so that it ages, and as it ages, it discolors. So when a smoke detector is starting to yellow, that means it's usually around 14 to 15, 20 years old, and it needs to be replaced every 10 years. So the National Fire Safety Commission, they say after 10 years, a smoke detector is only going to actually work when it's designed, when it needs to, about 50% of the time.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why if you have a smoke detector that's older than 10 years of age, you got to change it. Okay. Carbon monoxide detectors, even less. The carbon monoxide detectors, the little detecting device inside there deteriorates after about 8 years. So if your CO detector is more than 8 years old, you need to replace it. They do make 10-year models now that you can actually get a lithium-ion sealed battery in there that you don't have to worry about changing batteries and stuff. That's cool. $35. Go get them. You don't have to spend $800 on a smoke detector. You can. Okay, but $35, and it's not only to do it now is better because then it's going to protect your family. Everybody's like, when should I remodel my kitchen? You should remodel your kitchen now so you can enjoy it for the next 5 years. You don't do it right before you sell. It'd be ridiculous. You're spending all that money. Enjoy it for a little bit. But one of the things that the pre-listing inspection also does is here in Wisconsin, as far as real estate agents, you guys have a legal responsibility to inspect the home to the best of your ability, which isn't right. You're not a home inspector. You're not home inspectors, right? However, it does fulfill that requirement. It covers you guys as well as far as the element that you guys are required to inspect the home. So that's a good thing.
That's on the buyer side and on the seller side. Like, if we go through something and we see something that might be an adverse fact, something that would keep somebody from wanting to buy the property, we disclose that to our people. I always tell everybody that if I'm taking buyers through a home, I would tell them everything I possibly could about that house, good, bad, indifferent. Just like as if one of my kids was going to buy a house, I'd be like, okay, we got to look out for this, look out for this, look out for this. I know that when Sheila and I go on showings, we kind of train our buyers. The first place we go in Wisconsin, the first place we go is after the exterior is to the basement. We do the lower level first because I don't want my buyers to fall in love with the first and second floor if there's something wrong with the basement.
We had one time the first and second floor were actually a pretty nice looking. We went downstairs and you could see through the mortar to the daylight outside.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, that's why this house is still on the market.
Yeah. But most people going to the home, their concern is, where are my kids going to sleep? How big is my kitchen? How nice is my living room? And that's what they look at. That's like these people that I had down in Sugar Creek where we had that rotted beam. The upstairs looked great. I mean, serious lipstick going on, but it was still looked great. You know, all new appliances, everything was new
That's
carpet,
what people
new
are
flooring,
looking for.
new windows. The roof looked great. The siding was brand new. They put a new deck on it. But then we go down the basement and the main beams holding up the house are all rotted. It's like, we gotta look something else, you know? So, So
those are things you want to know, definitely before you put that offer on the house, because once you get in, the offer accepted and you're getting your home inspection, and then you find that out, well, then you've just wasted 10 to 15 days.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that I always, when we're doing pre-listing inspections, one of the things I tell people don't get inspected is you don't want to inspect a home for radon ahead of time. Just account for the fact that there may be a $1,500 expense, because radon is pretty common in southeastern Wisconsin here. That if somebody comes in with a radon contingency, budget for it, that it may be a thing that comes back. If it doesn't come back, hey, buy a couple plane tickets to Aruba, go have a fun weekend, but it's something that by testing it ahead of time, you're not getting a lot of benefit to that for the seller's perspective. But getting that pre-listing inspection, huge benefit. Now, one of the things that comes up lots of times, and this is kind of an old wives' tale, or I guess a issue with ethics, okay, is that if I get it inspected, I have to tell everybody everything. Yeah, you should. You should be telling everybody everything anyways. Right. You shouldn't not disclose. You shouldn't not tell people what you have going on. And if you're doing that, it's unethical. It's dishonest. It's fraud. Okay, and people do it all the time. And even a lot of not the best realtors, not the most honest realtors, will advise people not to get a pre-listing inspection because, well, then you got to tell everybody everything. You should. You're selling something. Let them know what you got. And if you don't, then you're putting yourself at legal risk down the road, because that's what this whole disclosure is for, so that you tell everybody what's going on, so that you can't be held legally liable when they find these things out on their own, which they're going to find the things out on their own, whether it be them a year down the road or when they have their home inspection done.
Or the next time it rains.
Yeah.
Well, and for us, I know when we go over the condition report with our sellers, we tell them, here's the deal. The only way that you can get in trouble with an RECR is if you don't tell the truth or you don't tell the whole truth. Yeah. So I tell them, just fill it out, do the best you possibly can. We can't help you with any of the questions. If you have questions about what terms are, we can tell you what those are, but we can't help you with it. But that's the best thing to tell people is look, the only way you're getting in trouble is if you don't tell the truth or don't tell the whole truth. Just fill it out as much as with the best knowledge that you have, and you should be good to go. Yeah,
we inspected a house last year that the guy, the young couple, had written 14 offers before, and they didn't get an accepted offer. So then they were buying this house in Tosa, and they wrote for $50,000 over asking in the middle of winter. Okay, and they're pregnant. They're like, I gotta have a house before my new baby comes and everything. Yes, absolutely. I totally get it. And why they wrote over 50 over asking, and they did it without a home inspection. Okay. Now their realtor said, okay, if you're going to offer without a home inspection, I'm going to get you a post-closing inspection at least, so that when you get into the house, you know how to take care of it, what's going on, and that kind of stuff. So then, when they wrote their offer and they got their accepted offer and stuff, roof is covered in snow. It's the middle of winter, and stuff. And the guy had the house all full of stuff down in the basement and whatnot. And then they wrote their offer. The guy cleans it out. All the snow on the roof melts. Matt comes in. Guess what? You need a whole new roof. You got a major bulge and foundation problem. You got all kinds of rotted wood on the exterior. You got windows that need to be replaced. And they're wrote for $50,000 over asking. Now they're looking at $70,000 worth of repairs. It's
on top of it.
Yeah. And so then they started calling around to contractors to find out what it's going to cost them and stuff. They got lucky in that they got a hold of a roofing contractor. And this roofing contractor is like, oh yeah, I was in here about 6 months ago and told the guy he needed a new roof. And the guy didn't write it on his disclosure. Guess who had to buy his house back? and then
No
so they got all their money back and stuff like that. Got the guy had to buy his house back. It was just a whole what to do.
My gosh.
I was this close to having to go into court for that one and testify because they were obviously suing the guy, and he didn't want to pay or
Couldn't
whatever.
they just get him to pay for the new roof?
Well, it was a new roof and foundation and rotted windows and all this, and they had the new baby and they didn't want to deal with it. They're like, no, you lied to us. You committed fraud. We're out, and so it was a whole thing, and I don't know how it all ended up working out financially for them all in the end because I'm not friends with them or anything.
Right.
But it's like, holy man, that guy put himself in a whole heck of a lot of hot water, and I don't know how if he got a house and now he has to buy this other house, how do you do that? So be honest, be upfront, be transparent, tell them what you got. You're selling what you're selling, somebody's going to buy it, and they're going to buy it when you, ask for it as a reasonable price, understanding the condition that you're looking at. That pre-listing inspection is going to help you figure that all out so that you don't get yourself in hot water.
Yeah, and the next buyer is going to find out what's wrong with it sooner or later.
At some point.
Yeah, and if they have a home inspection come through, they're going to find out everything. Even if they're not asking for a home inspection up front, they're going to find out later on. So, and if you lie about stuff, you're going to get
And
caught.
I think I'd be nervous as a seller leaving a house that had something wrong with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that you might be potentially stuck in that situation. So, getting that pre-listing inspection is very important. One of the things that if you are looking to sell your home, we do have a survival guide that I can send out to you. Just drop us an email at thehelpfulhomeinspector@gmail.com, thehelpfulhomeinspector@gmail.com, and we would be happy to send you out that seller survival guide at no cost to you. We'll put it in the mail and send that out to you, and give you lots of good information about how to, get your pre-listing inspection done, how to prepare your home for sale, all that kind of stuff. But happy to share that with you. Average cost of an inspection going to be about $350 to $500 these days. Okay, and Mark and Sheila Smith, like they said, they include that in their listing. They take care of paying that for you guys, so you don't have to worry about that. But it gives them peace of mind, gives you peace of mind, helps you better market your home, helps you better price your home, and it allows you to fix some things ahead of time. So lots and lots of good reasons. Really, no bad reason to get a pre-listing inspection. I couldn't think of one, unless you're trying to be dishonest and that kind of stuff, which I really don't want. You don't want to be a part of that situation anyways. So that's how that goes. Let's get into some of this other stuff. We're running a little short on time here, so we're going to do our question giveaway of the week. We do have a $20 Menards gift card here. Oh, no, this is $20. Sorry, did I say Menards? I meant Buffalo Wild Wings. Sorry. So we have a $20 Buffalo Wild Wings gift card here. Going to go out to the first person that can answer this question to the closest answer that I have written on our notes here. And the question is, what is the only thing that makes a pre-listing inspection different from a buyer's inspection? What is the only thing that makes a pre-listing inspection different from a buyer's inspection? All right, and we got the $20 Buffalo Wild Wings. Go get some hot wings, enjoy some football. There's all kinds of good stuff coming up to go and hang out at Buffalo Wild Wings for a little while. The next thing we're going to do, we're running a little bit short on time. We're going to give you our tip of the week right away, and we never want to miss out on that. So the tip of the week this week is make sure that your condensate from your high-efficiency furnace is going to the sanitary drain, not a sump crock. Okay, so at your high-efficiency furnace, there's going to be a tube coming out of it. It's a drain line, okay, and that's going to drain away the condensate from the high efficiency furnace. Now, that condensate does have some slight acidity to it, and as far as this acidity goes, if you put it into your sump crock, you could damage your sump pump. It'll start to corrode the metal and stuff like that. Also, the DNR does not want you doing that either. In some municipalities, they actually have fines if you're sending mechanicals or other water into the sump crock and pumping it out onto your yard, okay? So that condensate, make sure you're sending it to a floor drain, a sanitary drain of some kind. It can go out to your sump pump, or not, it can go out to your septic system, or it can go into the city sewer. All right. As far as that condensate goes, though, remember, it is acidic. It's not just water. All right, and it will damage your sump pump. So that's even just for you saving money. Okay, you don't want to send it into that sump crock, even though it may be easier than running that hose along the floor to get over to the drain. If the drain's a long ways away, you can get a condensate pump. It's about this big, and it goes right next to your furnace. So next time you get your tune-up done, tell the HVAC technician that you would like to have that done, and he can pump that water up and pump it over to the drain or into a laundry tub or something like that to get it into the septic or sewer system. As far as the other stuff, we didn't get to. We had a long conversation.
We did.
Yeah.
I talk a lot. I apologize.
No, that's okay. It was a good conversation, though. I thought we got a ton of information out there for anybody that's looking to sell a home, buy land, invest. Mark and Sheila Smith from Keller Williams will have their numbers up on the screen here, and you'll be able to get a hold of them, get a free market analysis. And again, thanks again for coming in today, you guys. We'll see you guys again in about a month. We're going to be where you guys are coming back. We're going to talk about contingencies in an offer to purchase. Important pieces of your offer to purchase here in Wisconsin. So we definitely want to make sure everybody understands what you're looking at with all that.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, glad to have you. All right, you guys. So as far as the show goes, we will have it up on Monday that you'll be able to get that podcast if you want to listen to that on the way to work. We'll actually be downloading this video up to YouTube so you can watch it later on, and that kind of stuff. If you ever have any questions, concerns, anything like that, bring it to us. We got that Saturday morning show every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. here on the Helpful Home Inspector Network. Thanks again for tuning in to you guys. Remember, the better you take care of your house, the better it's going to take care of you. Have a good one.